Law University, Professor Dr. Balaji sir, respected guests for this day, teachers of this university and from various other institutions, participants all over India, Professor Dr. Vijayalakshmi ma'am, Dilshad and Harsha, students of our esteemed School of Excellence in Law. I welcome you all for this national level sensitization workshop on workplace safety measures under the POSH Act, organized by the Placement Committee, School of Excellence in Law, the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University. It gives me a warm welcome for everyone present in the interest of knowledge dissemination in the field of law and other related interdisciplinary areas. First of all, it gives me immense pleasure in welcoming our Registrar, Professor Dr. V. Balaji sir, for this session, who is going to inaugurate this session. Welcome you, sir. I welcome Dr. Nappine, Consultant Psychologist, Meenakshi Medical College and Research Institute, Kanjipuram, for this session, who is going to be the first speaker for this session, who is a specialist in martial counseling, who has a lot of experience performing a special counselor for family court for the past 15 years, and also she has a lot of achievements. We welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, on behalf of our VC and our registrar. Good morning, ma'am. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming Mrs. Adilakshmi Logamurthy, who is an advocate, High Court of Madras, a bright, dynamic, and talented legal practitioner. We welcome Madam Adilakshmi Logamurthy for this session. On behalf of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, I welcome all our co-faculty members, senior professors, and other faculty members for this one-day national level seminar. I welcome academicians from all over India who belongs to various institutions all over India. I welcome participants. Thank you, Honorable Present here. So I request Harsha to take over.
Thank you so much, sir, for your warm message. And now my co-host will give a speech about happening.
The starting of something new brings forth the hope of something great. And the beginning being the most important part, I now request Professor Dr. V. Balaji, Registrar of the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, to deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you, Ma. Now, at the outset, let me thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor for creating this opportunity for making a lot of academic programs. And one such program is now what we are witnessing today, the national level sensitization workshop on workplace safety measures under the POSH Act, organized by the Placement Committee of the School of Excellence in Law. Now, it's indeed, I'm glad and appreciate the efforts that has been taken by Dr. A. Vijayalakshmi and Dr. A. Sandal Kumar, who are the coordinators of the Placement Committee of the School of Excellence in Law, and they are doing a wonderful service to the students. And beyond that, they have gone an extra mile today and also trying to sensitize. And not only the job is over there, going to be over there. Now, one step further, they wanted to assure the safety of the students whenever they are going to join in an organization. And I think that's an idea behind this. And that how it has germinated. And it has now come today with the blessings and wishes of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. N. S. Santosh Kumar sir. Now, the next stage where today we are having the resource person, Mrs. Adilakshmi Logamurthy, Advocate, High Court of Madras, and Dr. Napine, the consultant psychologist, Meenakshi Medical College and Research Institute from Kanchipuram. The madam is with us here. They'll be just sharing their knowledge about the very sensitive issue that what is now taking place in the workplace. Now, to my part, on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, let me congratulate and record my wishes to all the persons who are now participating. Now, idea is to create awareness. That is the most important element of this program. And I hope and sure that the program would be very useful to the students at large, and also not only students, any other persons for whom this act has been created. Now, the experts are there, the resource person. I don't want to take much time, but as usual, let me throw some light on the subject matter to the benefit of all, where the sexual harassment of women at workplace, within brackets, Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013, commonly to be referred as POSH Act, is a Indian act enacted for the objective of making workplaces safer for women by preventing, prohibiting and redressing act of sexual harassment against them in their workplace. The law was made effective in the whole India on December 9, 2013 by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Now, if you see a little bit back, the Supreme Court, in its landmark judgment of Visakhapatnam versus State of Rajasthan, is the point where the seats of these acts are being shown. Wherein the Supreme Court has framed a certain guidelines and issued directions to the Union of India to enact the appropriate law for combating the workplace sexual harassment. Nothing less is an irony that the so-called POSH Act and the rules were enacted 16 years after the Visakhapatnam judgment. Better late than never. But however, it was an historic judgment where it includes, where the judgment has very categorically pointed out not to miss out anything, to give full protection, where the judgment indicated that sexual harassment includes such unwelcome, sexually determined behavior, whether directly or by implication, such as physical contact and advances, a demand or request for sexual favors, sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, any other welcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature. Now, the judgment indeed has got far-fetching consequences, where they have analyzed probably in all angles that what could amount to sexual harassment, because they don't want to see that the culprits should escape from the clutches of law. So they made all these arrangements. Now, even in otherwise, in a later point of time, post Vishaka, some other judgments, namely Apparel Export Promotion Council as A.K. Chopra and Medwa Kotwal, Lile and others versus Union of India and others, has also given some inputs where the act has been further fine-tuned. And the act may be considered, or these acts, which is considered to be the sexual harassment, and unwelcome if the woman expresses a discomfort upon the commission of these acts or does not consent to them. Additionally, the following circumstances may amount to sexual harassment if they are connected with any of the acts or behavior mentioned above. Now, the so-called implied or explicit promise of preferential treatment in employment. This is once again going further and to block all the loopholes. Implied or explicit threat of detrimental treatment in employment. Implied or explicit threat about the present or future employment status. Interference with work or creating an intimidating or offensive or hostile work environment. And humiliating treatment likely to affect health or safety. Now, once again, I don't want to go very deep into it because the resource persons will be there dealing with these things. There are two type of things what they are actually programmed it today. If I'm right in the sense, that is one side the act which comprises so many aspects where the students and the women has to be sensitized about those issues. The other part is much more important about the psychological aspects, the trauma that will be undergoing or to be taken up during or after the sexual harassment in the now that is another important part that we are going to deal with. So, as I said, I won't be taking much time, and I'm concluding with this remarks, and I leave it to the resource persons to enlighten the students and the women folks about the seriousness, the issues that has been involved, and how to act and how to, prevent it. And there are so many dimensions to it. Now, with this, I once again congratulate the placement committee, Dr. Vijayalakshmi and Dr. Sendil Kumar, and all the resource persons, all the student moderators, my dear students, for participating in this program. And once again, I am conveying it very clearly that not only this program is just to know, not only to say about these issues, but this has to spread. Now it has to be sensitized more. So the people, the students who are watching, should take this message and to spread out the possible means and ways in which the victims can be protected at large. Thank you for giving this wonderful opportunity. Thank you. Over to
Thank you, sir, for inaugurating today's event.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for coming and supporting us and guiding us. Thank you so much for your welcome address, sir. And we want to welcome our another resource person, Advocate Adilakshmi Logamurthy Madam also. She has also joined now. As today is the first online court processing day, Madam has joined belatedly. Welcome, Madam. Please, you can switch on your camera, ma'am. Adilakshmi, ma'am. Thank you. Welcome, ma'am, to our platform. And just 4 days before, Madam has been one of the resource person conducted by the Government Law College on the same topic, but it is in the Tamil, purely in Tamil. The entire process was in Tamil, and I also watched that. Thank you so much, and we are very privileged to have you. And thank you so much, Dr. Nappinai, ma'am, because one of the most renowned and prominent and premier personality in the psychology consultant. And today, this platform is very much privileged to have both of us. Thank you and welcome to the platform. Now it's over to the moderators to introduce our first resource person, and we can start it. Thank you so much.
Adding on to all the wonderful things that Professor Dr. Senthil Kumar sir and Dr. Vijayalakshmi ma'am had to say about our special resource person, Dr. Nappine, I would like to add on, or I would like to try to brief all the achievements that she has accomplished. Ma'am, it is a privilege for me to introduce you today. Dr. Nappine, who has completed a MPhil and PhD in psychology and is a certified hypnotherapy and transactional analyst. She started her career as a teacher in Indonesia and is currently the consultant psychologist in Meenakshi Medical College. She is also the visiting psychologist of SRM Faculty of Arts and Science, an ethical committee member of ESIC Medical College and VIT Chennai, a guest lecturer for SCARF Mental Health Diploma course, and one of the interview panelists in the IOCL faculty of the Sugam Psychological Center. Madam is also the founder of the Psy Hub Brain and Behavior Clinic, a daycare for patients to make them functional and productive. Madam has specialized in marital counseling and has been in practice for the past 15 years and has served as the Honorary Special Counselor for the Family Courts. Adding on, Dr. Napini served as a member to the Board of Insurance, where autism was included in the Chief Minister scheme. She served 2 terms as the member of the Social Welfare Board and was also an executive committee member of the ARPP representing Tamil Nadu. She had been a special counselor for the prisoners of Pulal prison. Ma'am has also received an award from the Anugraha Foundation. Madam, you have been to various schools and colleges and government organizations giving lectures on narcotics and in Central Excise Central Railways, and we are privileged to have you here today. Ma'am, handing over the session to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be associated with people who are really working for the benefit of the community. My association with the law has been probably close to 15 years, as you rightly said, on paper, but it has been because I'm married to an advocate too. So it's been more than 36 years with my association with law. Thank you, Mrs. Adilakshmi. She's one who's a very dynamic person, as you rightly said. She's roped me in with Dr. Vijayalakshmi, if I'm right. And that's how I got into this. Though there'll be other connections with few people here that I see their names, whom I'm familiar with. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Like Mr. Balaji was talking about the chapter committee, and after 16 years, how the act came into. We are still talking about this. We still not prevented. Let's take this day to prevent and move forward in a harassment-free environment, both men and women. So with this note, and congratulations to the management for this wonderful opportunity. So let me talk about the psychological impacts of harassment. I'm sure Adilakshmi Madam is going to cover the entire scenario regarding the legal aspects. I am not competent in that, neither am I going to touch about it. So mine is totally the psychological aspect. What happens within the mind of the victim? I'm leaving the perpetrator. It's going to discuss about what happens in the mind of the victim. For that, I just want to give an understanding about what exactly is harassment. It is an illegal behavior towards a person which causes mental or emotional suffering in them, which includes repeated unwanted contact without a reasonable purpose, which could be of insult, threat, touching, or offensive language. Let's not just take, sexual abuse is physical contact. Insisting.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, will you please raise your audio volume, ma'am, because it is low here.
Just give me a minute.
Yes.
Now am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it is, can you hear me? Is it fine? Okay.
Yes.
So it is not just the act of sexual performance. It is more so when somebody does something which is not accepted by you. It could be passing vulgar comments. It could be insisting you to see some picture. It could be sending you obscene messages. Everything is called as harassment. It could be of 3 types. Harassment could be visual. They might insist you to see, or it could be written. It could be physical, or it could be psychological. So we just can't confine workplace harassment or sexual harassment only to touching or having a part of intercourse. It depends on every other thing, like asking you to see something also, or writing something obscene and sending it to you. Harassment is a severe problem which is prevailing globally. It is not only to Chennai, it is not only to Tamil Nadu, it is not only to India. It is prevailing globally. You could see there are so many people coming out, all the top bureaucrats come out, being claimed that they were part of the perpetuated team, and everybody is facing this globally. People are exposed to various kinds of, now is it clear? Audio?
Audio is, I think, a little bit low. If it is being increased, it will be.
I have increased it. Let me check
Now
again.
it is. Now it is. I think this audio is enough, ma'am.
Perfect. Now it is clear, right?
No, no, little bit high, ma'am, please.
Okay. Now? Is it
Little
fine?
closer to the mic, ma'am. Little bit. If madam come little bit closer to the mic, it will be.
I think it should be fine now. It is a severe problem which prevails globally. People are exposed in various areas. It could be workplace, it could be homes, it could be when you're walking on the road. Basically, anywhere and everywhere, people could be harassed. Harassment, it affects, as I'm saying, it could affect them physically because the perpetrator might harm them and try to have a relationship with them. So it could be physical or it could be mentally harassed, which affects their day-to-day performance. The person is not in a proper frame of mind to perform their roles and regulations. Studies reveal 1 of every 3 women are harassed in workplace sexually. And 65% of women experience street harassment. It could be on road where they are touched unwantedly. There is also a study which says 7% of men were victims of workplace sexual harassment, where it is 10 times more in the military. It is very astonishing and heartbreaking to hear that both men and women are equally harassed, which is taking a big toll on their psychological well-being. Social scientists have developed and they've identified there is an association between sexual harassment and mental health. Longitudinal studies have reported the association between sexual harassment and depression. Majorly, we find people who've been harassed in the long run land up with a lot of psychological problems, particularly anxiety and depression. Anxiety could start with, but later on it could lead into severe depression. Victims of harassment can suffer many other psychological distresses. As I told you, it could start with anxiety, depression. They can have physical pain. They can complain of constant headache, stomach pain, or some form of somatic complaints, any bodily pain, or lowered self esteem and low self confidence, post traumatic stress disorder, and sexual dysfunction. So you can see an overall decline in their psychological well-being. It could be the slightest of the headache, could be to the post-traumatic stress disorder, or major. At times, we've even seen patients with acute psychotic breakdown. When I say depression, they're aware of it. When they have a psychotic breakdown, they're not even aware of what they are doing. You know what is psychosis and what is neurosis? I'm just giving a prelude to say psychosis is something where they're not having insight about what their problem is. So it is a great problem. If you see on movies, they show you. The person who was raped goes in for a complete amnesia. She's not able to remember anything. That could be an exaggerated version. But we have seen people have acute psychotic breakdown where they're not aware of anything of themselves. I'm just going to highlight what could be the impact of all these things. It has a reduced productivity in workplace. There is increased absenteeism or low morale or poor employee relationship. If somebody is continuously or even for once harassed in a workplace, there can be constant fear of approaching the person or going to work. So they always prefer to stay back from work. Either they quit the job or there is constant absenteeism, which reduces the productivity of the workplace. More so, there is a low morale in the place. So everybody thinks it's okay to behave like that, because somebody has not voiced it out of fear or out of this social problems. It doesn't mean that anybody can take their hands on anybody. So there is a low morale prevailing in the workplace precisely. More importantly, they do not have a proper relationship with the employer, nor with the employees. So there is a complete dysfunction in the employer-employee relationship. It has a cumulative demoralizing effect that discourages men and women from asserting themselves. No, it doesn't give them a feeling of comfort to disclose what has happened. It takes a long time for them to come out to talk about this problem. I will be talking about our role later, but I'm just putting it across now so that we can discuss more there. It creates a hostile or intimidating environment which makes most of them leave their job or behave aggressively to others. It could not be to the perpetrator, but they could behave aggressively. So the environment as such can be hostile. Women might be forced to quit jobs, which can reflect on the economic condition of the family. She might be the sole breadwinner, or her money could be important for the family. But because of this harassment, she might be forced to quit the job out of fear, or there could be hostility from the person towards the co-workers, because she would view or he would view everybody in par with the perpetrator. We are talking about the most damaging psychological illness, which is another one known as post-traumatic stress disorder. If you could ask somebody who's come out of COVID how it was, people have come and told, it was very threatening. I felt it very bad to be all alone, to be in an ICU with people say the audio is insufficient. I'm using a mic and I'm still louder. I don't understand why it is not clear. Could one of you guide me there?
Now we could hear, ma'am. Madam, if you please a little bit closer towards the mic, I think they could have. Some people are watching through YouTube also. So,
Okay. Yeah. Is it fine now? Is it clear?
As far as it is okay.
Okay. We are coming across PTSD, that is known as post-traumatic stress disorder, where, as I was talking about, people with COVID, when you ask them how do they feel, they are able to recall their presence in the ICU, how threatening it was, where they saw somebody dying, where there was fear around, gripping around the place, where the nurse, the doctors were roaming around. After a tsunami, people came out with a lot of PTSD. After Varda, people came out with a lot of PTSD. So, when there is a sexual abuse, wherever it is, be it a workplace or be it at home or be it on street, people are subjected to PTSD. It resonates the trauma. The trauma, they relive the trauma by sound. If they hear a similar sound, this voice of the person, or if there is an order of the place where they were abused, or it could be the perfume that the person used, or it could be the cigarette smell, or it could be the alcohol smell, it could be the sweat smell that can resonate the previous process of experiencing harassment. They could come across such places where they were harassed. It could be on TV, it could be anywhere. The images of the person, it could be in real that the person could cross them, or there could be flashbacks of those incidences. The thoughts could keep coming in their mind, resonating in their mind. The incident, a similar incident happening like that which they read on paper, which they get to come across elsewhere. All this can resonate in their mind and they re-experience the trauma every time. Maybe it was physically done once, but it has psychologically harmed them multiple times because over and over it resonates in the mind where they re-experience every part of how they were harassed. They feel out of control most of the time and they feel powerless. The victims feel powerless and they restrict or binge their behavior to control the aspects of life by hiding their feelings of shame, hopelessness, and fear. When they feel powerless because they've been victimized to a harassment. So I was not able to stop the person, therefore I am powerless. It could be because he was stronger than me or because she was powerful than me. It could be any reason. So I feel powerless, because of which there is a binging behavior. They feel hostile towards themselves and they hide themselves under the facade of hopelessness. They feel their life before them is hopeless. Nobody can help them. Later on, as I was talking about low self-confidence, they land up with a feeling of worthlessness. Then why should I live after this incident? I'm not worthy to live. So they have lot of psychological trauma in them, which leads to a self-destructive behavior. They may go for self-medication. We have seen people taking medication to sleep in peace because they have these PTSD flashes. It is not easy, my dear friends, to have a constant flash of a traumatic experience. And it is not easy to push it aside. So to come out of it, they may go for some medication on their own to put them into sleep. They may have a non-suicidal injury. They may harm themselves. It could not be with the notion of committing suicide, but they might hurt themselves. They might bang themselves against the wall. They may slash the wrist. We have seen girls slashing their thighs, not the wrist, because people get to know about it. So they slash the wrist because it is not seen by others. We've come across self-mutilation. They've cut part of the body to reduce the feeling of guilt and anger. They feel, I should have done this to stop the perpetrator from harassing me. Probably I made a mistake. So there is a lot of resentment and guilt in them. They're so angry about themselves. They feel powerless and they try to harm themselves so that they can free themselves. They have, in fact, castrated certain part of the body to come out of the feeling of guilt and anger. Because this is the portion where this person touched me, or this is the portion which invited the person, because they could have verbally told something which could have made them feel upset about it. So if you don't treat these people, if their psychological upheaval, the emotional upheaval is not recognized and it is untreated, as I told you, it can lead to anxiety, generalized anxiety. For anything, they can become anxious. They hear somebody call their name loud, they can have a shock of it. They hear the door open or the door closed, they can go in for generalized anxiety. We feel people complaining of claustrophobia. They are not able to stay in closed doors because they are able to resonate the time where they were forced to have a sexual activity under a closed door. Severe depression. As I told you, they can have PTSD and psychotic breakdown, which is where we see people not realizing what exactly is happening to themselves. Victims, because of their depression, can and there is when there is depression or when there is anxiety, there is something called as the preceding factor, none other than the word stress. Stress is preceding. The stress about being traumatized, the stress about being harassed. I have to hide it because if I talk about this, people are going to laugh at me, people are going to mock me, or people are going to blame me, which is what is happening. So they keep it within themselves. So this stress, they do not know how to handle it, because of which they try to use a lot of substance like marijuana, cocaine, weed, alcohol, cough syrups. They land up in a lot of substance abuse. We even get glue, toluene, all these substance abuse were used even by children who were sexually harassed. Because either the perpetrator have introduced it to them or somebody who's gone through a trauma could have introduced the same to them. So there is a lot of substance abuse which is cropping because of the psychological trauma they're going through. As I told you, there is a lot of somatic complaints. We see a lot of people in general clinics who go with constant irritable bowel syndrome. They need to go to the restroom pretty often before going out. There are lots of other physical symptoms which manifest in the form of headache. People have come with selective mutism. They're not able to talk. Suddenly there is a shock. They're not able to talk, which is known as selective mutism. People have complained of partial blindness or complete blindness and deafness, which is again psychological. Apart from the somatic body pain, we call it as fibromyalgia. Every place they can complain of pain, muscle pain, The reason could be unknown. Every symptom could be clear. Clinical investigation will not show anything, but there is a psychological breakdown happening with them. Lot of sleep disturbance. People complain of insomnia. They're not able to sleep. The moment they close their eyes, they get these flashes. There is more weight gain or there is weight loss. People either eat more to punish themselves because they feel this is the body which invited somebody. So let me make myself ugly either by eating too much, or they want to harm themselves by not eating so that they become thin and unhealthy that nobody looks at them. There was always girls who started dressing up more like boys. We've had girls who've had short haircut and wore only pants and refused to wear jewelry, narki bindi, and they always rode bikes or these powerful ones to make themselves feel powerful, to protect themselves from the perpetuator. So by dressing, by the way of talking, they prepare themselves to face the perpetuator. People have a lot of phobias. Once there is an incident that has happened, there is a lot of phobia in them. They fear something bad can happen to them. Anywhere they go, there is a fear. Even in a lift, they are not able to go alone. I know people who have walked 8 floors fearing, I was harassed in the lift. I don't wish to take a risk again. Or when I go there, I am able to recall those incidences, which makes me very upset or which makes me panic, which is not giving me a feeling of goodness. So there are lots of disturbances happening there in their psychological mind, which they are not able to function as normally as you and I do. There is insecurity. As I was talking about, when they go in the lift, they feel very insecure. And when you read about such instances, leave alone somebody who was victimized, we have come across women who were being harassed in the lift. I'm sure you will know what incident I'm referring to, because the upcoming advocates will be current with whatever is happening. So they were girls who have reported fear going in the elevator. They said we might as well take the stairs, which is good for our physical well-being also, because we fear that the lift operator or anybody else can manhandle us. So there is a lot of insecurity and embarrassment. If it happens, how do they see it? How am I viewed? The perpetrator is never complained for his behavior. It is rather the victim who's always blamed for what she was. Why did she do this? Why did she allow him to do this? There is always a blame game with the females. Oh, that was her dressing. I remember, when we had the Nirbhaya case and there was a program on TV. There was a co-speaker with me who was complaining. The girl should not have gone that late night. But when we finished the program, it was pretty late. So I had to ask the co-speaker, how are you going? She said, I'm driving back home. Isn't this part of your job? That you've come and you're going back? So can anybody do anything to you? But we have the attitude of blaming somebody, which again pulls down their courage. Even if there is one victim who wants to talk out or who wants to come out of this, sees there is only a situation where people are blaming her or her parenting style or how she wore a dress or how she was inviting or seductive, and therefore there is a lot of embarrassment even to talk about it or to put an end to it. Panic attack is something that we come across in our profession. Like I'm talking of phobia, like I'm talking of post-traumatic stress disorder, there is people who come across with a lot of panic attack. As I was talking about, they find it very claustrophobic. It might be a slightest movement of the person which can create an upheaval in them where they can have tremors. They fainted, they vomited, they've been nausea. They vomited, they fainted, and people have gone through a lot of this attack where they sweat tremble, palpitations, heart choking, like just a glimpse of the person. The person could walk that side, or the person could try to have an eye contact with them, or give a sly smile at them. Any such behavior can cause a lot of trauma in this person. Now, what is our role? What are we going to do? Are we as advocates, are you as advocates just going to take up the case? Or do we have anything? We believe in something. The people from the medical fraternity, and of course, everybody believes prevention is better than cure. Every time we talk about all these things as a form of cure, and it is left there. I'm talking the girl who's been, victimized. It could be a lady, it could be a child, or it could be an adult, it could be a male member. I'm talking irrespective of whoever it is. What are we going to do? If it is a child who's being done, is it the child going to be staying away from education? Because there are cases where we have people in schools doing it. We have cases where in homes who are doing this. We have people where you work, they have this. So it is not only restricted to the workplace, not only to your neighborhood, not only to your school. It is all.
Just a few minutes and madam will join again. I think due to some technical issue, it has been disconnected. We request the participants, please be cooperate with us. Madam will join immediately. So madam is joining through phone. Please be connected. In just 1 or 2 minutes, madam will join now. Ma'am, please unmute your audio, ma'am. Please unmute, ma'am.
Yeah, I've done. I'm sorry, there was a confusion here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, we are here.
Fine. Yeah. So now my question was, what are we going to do here? How are we going to handle this case? Prevention is better than what we were talking about. Somebody has stopped my video. Okay, fine. So prevention is better than cure. How are we going to prevent this? We can't keep talking about this day in and day out, and again another case crops up. We take it very seriously, then we leave it. It has to be on a consistent rate. We need to work on this on a consistent program so that such things does not happen wherever it is, be it on the street or be it in your workplace or be it in your home. We need to say a no. It should be an assertive no. It could be anybody. Please do not try to explain to them. Don't curse them. Don't reason out to them why they should not do that. Rather, say no. Your no needs to be stronger and assertive. Whatever it is, learn to say no when you have to say no. Be in the habit of saying yes where we need to say no. It is an art where don't fear and take not to a person who tells you to put it across or hide it. It's common. Don't have to worry about it. No, please do not trivialize. We have the habit of trivializing or by threatening the person by saying, trivialize. Rather, talk to somebody who can give you confidence in handling the issue. Report it to the person as I'm talking. Where you will be able to take this forward without feeling ashamed about it. There is nothing to feel ashamed, nothing to feel guilty, nothing to feel bad because it is not your mistake. Let us not blame the victim. We always, as I'm repeatedly saying, looking for reasons to blame something because that is how our psychology works. You toppled down and said there was a stone which toppled me down. Stone did not come on your way. It was already there. It is just that you did not look forward to see what is happening. So stop doing the blame game. See how you can stand as a support for the victim. Instead of blaming them, empower them. Every individual, be it a male or a female, needs to be empowered. What is empowerment? What can give you empowerment? Your education is the primary empowerment. Everybody needs to be educated. Physically, you need to empower yourself. I'm talking about psychological empowerment. Yes, education is a psychological empowerment. The society that stands with definitely a psychological empowerment. Nothing is impossible in this world. It is just that you are thinking it is impossible. Read the word I am. It is possible. Instead of impossible, I am possible. So many martial arts where you can learn. So I request all the participants to share this news of at least one point to empower everybody else. Empower yourself. Be a support system to empower somebody. As the society gets empowered, I am sure all the perpetrators will have a fear that they cannot do it to anybody. The family needs to give the child the comfort zone to talk about the problem to the parents. So every place we need to have empowerment. When the child talks to the mother or the father, the parent should be empowered to take it to the next step called as the community. So the primary could be the family, then to the community. Community should work with hand in hand with the bureaucrats and with the other people in the law enforcement, and of course with the government. Action needs to be taken place rather than using man-made caste system to support the perpetrator. Nobody is lower than anybody. Treat everybody equal. Understand everybody has an emotional well-being which needs to be respected. Everybody has their psychological well-being which needs to be empowered. So use awareness that everybody needs to work. Not a victim anymore. They are more empowerment to help the society with for the break in between. Yeah, it was due to some opportunity and for the patient listening.
Thank you so much, ma'am, because this will happen in all this technology, the digital era. We could not expect that. Really, it was the thing what you have motivated us through psychologically. So we know how to overcome it, and it is the matter for each and every one. As you said, no. So that must be very firm and assertive. That is what we have to learn, and that is what we have to taught our children's, and that is what to spread everywhere. So irrespective of thinking who is the perpetrator, maybe the boss or maybe the teacher or whoever it may be, but no means no, a very strong word, but what we have to. So that's what the placement committee, what we thought as said by our honorable registrar in the welcome address, it is not only teaching our students. The placement committee, we are sending our students to the next level of their life. They're going to face the reality of the world. So we have to taught them, we have to sensitize them. As we are in the quasi-parental situation, we the faculties are in the quasi-parental situation, it is our duty to sensitize our own kids. So you are going to face the world, be bold, be confident. So on this perspective only, we choose this topic from the placement committee to conduct this sensitization program. And I hope that irrespective of the technological something which happened in between, we at least we got the crust what madam tried to convey today. So how you could be psychologically bold and how you could be spread your support to others, and don't be a spectator. That's what madam has stated, that if anything happening to others, don't be a spectator, don't be an audience. Please react immediately. So with this word, thank you so much for your acceptance and coming over here and express your thoughts, because it's not a word, it's really madam is in her busy schedule, because madam is having another appointment. That's what we rescheduled the program in the from second session to the first session. Thank you so much, ma'am. In future, definitely we'll touch with you for other forthcoming psychological programs for our students. Thank you so much, ma'am. And now it's our time to invite our next speaker, next resource person, the most celebrated activist and the most what to say, the person who always think about how we can build or how we can extend the support to the students community in the next step of their law graduate. Madam is continuously conducting several programs for the DJ aspirants, APP aspirants, and the competitive exam aspirants. Madam is a well-known and well-established activist in the women's rights and child rights. Today, we feel it very proud and privileged to have you on this platform, ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming over here. Now, I request the moderator to give an introduction about our next speaker.
Good morning, ma'am. It's my privilege to introduce the speaker of the day, Mrs. Adilakshmi Logamurthy, advocate of High Court of Madras. She completed a BL in Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, and she also completed a PG diploma in Industrial Relations and Personal Management, and also a diploma of Juvenile Justice in Psychology in University of Madras. Ma'am has enrolled in the year 1993 in Bar Council of Tamil Nadu. She is currently practicing in almost in all the field of law. She is also a senior panel lawyer of Tamil Nadu State's Legal Services Authority, and also a trainer and guest faculty of Police Academy in Tamil Nadu. Ma'am is also a former secretary and vice president of Women's Lawyer Association of Madras High Court. She presently holds the post of external member in the internal committee in various companies and organizations. She regularly ventilates herself view on various legal and social issues in the media, both print as well as the audio and visual modes. Ma'am has written and authored a book called titled Sattam Un Kaiyil in Tamil, and it was dealing related with women and children lost their rights. And ma'am also has co-authored and published the compilation of important labor law and disciplinary proceedings. Ma'am has also received many awards, including the Women Achiever Award in 2015 on Women's Day by Indo-Russian Women Association, and also a Rotary International Women Achiever Award in 2015 to 16. And latestly in 2017, ma'am has received the Madras Development Society International Socialist Activist Award in 2017. It is a great honor to invite you today, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm coming in two instruments. Dr. Vijayalakshmi, can you connect me? I'm sharing screen in one and speaking one, taking a cue from Napine madam, getting connected in one, it's a little difficult. So I'm in the beginning getting connected in two. So one.
I'll ask the host to enable the share, ma'am. Sure.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you so much. I thank this esteemed institution for inviting me for this national seminar. The Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University having a national level sensitization workshop on the work safety measures under the POSH Act. I should congratulate this institution, the most respected Vice Chancellor Honorable Professor Dr. Santosh Kumar sir, for initiating this process, and all the other great personalities, the faculties connected. And we had the registrar of Tamil Nadu, Dr. Ambedkar University, Dr. Balaji sir, speaking with us little ago, and all the other senior and guest faculties joined in. And of course, I should thank my dear Dr. Vijayalakshmi madam, whom I know as a practitioner of law long time ago when she was with the High Courts along with us. Today, she's an academician of great repute. Thank you for inviting for this August gathering. And also, I should thank my dear friend Dr. Nappinai for joining me in this session today too. Even though the technical hiccups were there, she gave us the points, which is all much needed. I'm going to share my screen now also. In wherever it is needed, I can use the screen. It is not very much essential to follow the screen only. Okay, I request all my dear friends to kindly be with me on whenever it is needed. I'll get to the screen once again.
Ma'am, please unmute yourself, ma'am. Ma'am,
Just
Adilakshmi ma'am.
couple of minutes, Dr. Vijayalakshmi. I'll just get connected my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, you please come to the bigger slide share. Thank you.
Okay, is it visible? Okay. Okay, is it moving? Okay, fine. Okay. Is my video there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Your PPT is visible now.
Okay. Is my face is also
Yes.
seen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Because the technology is also new to me. Thank you all. Thank you. Today we are going to talk about the practicality of the POSH Act. Today, sexual harassment is a word much spoken about in almost all spheres. It is spoken in the political arena, it is spoken in the social arena, it's spoken in the legal arena. To be very precise, everywhere the nomenclature sexual harassment is making a big round. So, what is very peculiar about it? Sexual harassment is a common nomenclature, even though the POSH Act is very gender specific. Other legislations which are not gender specific or which are general for all the people in the community also speaks about sexual harassment. As students of law and as lawyers, we should know to connect each and every enactment with the other enactment. The POSH Act is not going to practically function isolated. I mean, this legislation is not going to act only on its own. It is going to be acting along with the general law of this land. We all know, as from the legal fraternity, that the Indian Penal Code of 1860 is the basic law dealing with the crimes or the offenses that's happening around in our country. Before the coming into this legislation in the year 2013, until then we were using the provisions of the Indian Penal Code. So Indian Penal Code, along with the Criminal Procedure Code, the Evidence Act, the POSH, everything go together. The section 354 after 2013 enactment or the amendment, particularly to the Indian Penal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code, the Evidence Act, and the POSH, we call this a criminal law amendment in the year 2013. It speaks about sexual harassment. Again, in POSH, sexual harassment is spoken about in a very lengthier manner. Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. And again, going into the Domestic Violence, Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act, we might be thinking our country do not speak about marital rape. Marital rape is not spoken in our country, but our country, even though marital rape is not there, we are dealing about sexual harassment happening in the domestic sphere. If a woman in the domestic front facing the physical, psychological, verbal, non-verbal, economic abuse, she can also complain about sexual abuse happening in the domestic front. So many legislation speaks about the sexual harassment, so we have to work conjointly. Before going into the Vishaka judgment or before going into the POSH Act as such, or the functioning of the POSH Act and how this POSH Act came into existence and how it is now, we have to understand the Indian Constitution speaks about equality under Article 14. Again, the Indian Constitution gives a special provision under Article 15, Clause 3 for the enactment of new legislations, special legislations pertaining to the women and children's support, and also there are provision to amend the existing legislation. The example of amending is the Criminal Law Amendment Act, and the example of enacting a new legislation, the one which we are going to deliberate right now. And again, we have to understand the United Nations Convention. India being a member state of United Nations, the CEDA Convention in the year 1993, India being a part of the United Nations, ratified the convention to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women. Because of these two, the Constitution of our country and the United Nations Convention, we are getting lots and lots of legislations, or the legal arena is becoming much more safer for women or the women-centric legislations are finding its place. If we could hear from Dr. Balaji sir's registrar session or inaugurate speech that what is sexual harassment and what is Visaka guidelines, how the birth of this legislation happened, we all got to know from his speech. To the understanding of us, the Visaka guidelines or the Visaka judgment. The Visaka judgment, for your understanding for later viewing, just note down the citations. If anyone can help me out in the chat, can type it out in the chat also. Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan and others, 1997, 6 SCC 241. Since it's a forum of legal luminaries and legal fraternity, I'm going little technical. It'll be very useful for you. Vishaka was the state of Rajasthan and others, 1997, 6 SCC 241. You can read later on. This is the very first judgment which is spoken about, which is speaking for the cause of women. It is spoken about a lot of things happening for women at the workplace and the support system that has to be created for the women at the workplace. But there was some hue and cry before this. There are few people voicing out on the women harassments, but that wasn't much noted until this particular judgment came out. We all know when Nirbhaya incident happened or Jyoti Singh lost her life, and now the people who did her like that or the accused, we have to name something much more than accused because they have done such a gruesome crime. What has happened to them has gone to gallows. But one big question is there. Has the harassment for women and children stopped or the senior citizens sometimes? Will the law stop all these things? Will an enactment protect a woman? What is that an enactment is doing? What is the practical aspect that is being going around? One thing, this judgment, Visaka judgment and the guidelines set something in motion. The talk of women's space, the women's right, something like human right. A woman has her own space. A woman has a thought process, a perspective of thinking in her own right. This is the first judgment that is speaking about a workplace harassment. Even before that, there was one judgment. One lady, former IAS officer named Rupan Diyal Bajaj, comes out with a complaint and she files a case against former IPS officer KPS Gill for misbehaving with her during an official get-together. A pat on the back of a woman was thought to be a passing cloud or a joke by a senior police officer. There wasn't any supporters for that woman, that lady, that great officer as such. She was the one who was fighting, and recently she got a judgment, but a very delayed judgment. It is, in fact, a denied judgment according to me. So, after Visaka's guideline, it speaks about, and that too because Honorable Justice Verma was heading that bench and he was also the Chief Justice of our country in the year 1997, and Honorable Justice Verma was the head of the commission that brought about all the criminal law amendments after the Nirbhaya's unfortunate incident and demise, which is very, very, very friendly for women in the matters relating to rape, sexual harassment, and everything. So when Rupan Diyal Bajaj spoke out, there wasn't any takers. There wasn't any supporters. When Vishaka came in and stepped in, before that, the heroine of Vishaka judgment, Banvi Devi, a Dalit woman in Rajasthan, when she faced sexual harassment, a sort of gang rape by the upper caste community men for stopping a child marriage, for which she has been appointed by the state of Rajasthan. For doing her duty in a workplace, she was sexually assaulted. Any women, even a mild teasing. We hear Dr. Nappinai speaking about the mental status or the mindset of a woman facing harassment and lot other thing. Technology didn't help us today. She's a very good speaker. She has lots in our kitty to share with us. We'll have one more session. Colin Appine Madam to do much more. She's a renowned psychologist and she's with the family courts here. That's how I got connected to her, and she does human service, and she does for the family court without taking any money. She's out of her own interest. She's doing all these work for the people in distress. So when the Vishaka, the organization joined in, until then, Banvi Devi didn't have any support. So she take the gut. Imagine a woman without any political support, any money power, any big power with her. She fights it out, goes to the police, forensic help, medical help, magistrate court, high court. There wasn't any support basically. After that, a lot of women organizations, including Vishaka, joins in. The matter goes as a special leave application to the Supreme Court, and let's all history. Then we have the guidelines, and it took nearly 16, 17 long years. After 1997, the judgment was delivered 2013. After the women lawyers, the women activists, everyone joining in. So after that only, the Vishaka versus state of Rajasthan guidelines become a legislation in the form of this particular legislation, which we are deliberating, Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. One thing we have to all note here is that it is a very, very gender specific legislation. What is gender specific? Agreed women. It is not an agreed person. Any women who's of any age facing sexual harassment, whether employed or there in an organization. So this is for a women working in an organization specifically. So all these kind of women working in an organization will be coming under this. It has a wide spectrum. Even working on a voluntary basis, whether for a remuneration or not, anyone like an outsider, even a courier woman coming inside to deliver a courier or a post, if she faces sexual harassment, or a people like me consultant going inside an organization, then also you can bring in the provision of this particular legislation. And I'm just skipping certain slides for you. I'm just bringing in certain particular slides only for your understanding. So we have to understand this terminology, sexual harassment. Usually I ask the question if it is there in an open forum. Can someone type it out? Is sex and gender one and the same? Or is there any difference for that? Because we are talking about sexual harassment. Is gender harassment also similar to sexual harassment? Can we term it as one and the same? So somebody is posting the citation for Vishaka. Yes, one and the same. Yes, ma'am. I think a lot of students are there. Okay, my dear darlings, it's not someone, Dr. Rajalakshmi. So the senior persons are saying no and the youngsters are saying yes. My dear darlings who are joined in, my dear children, it's not one and the same. So I should have started with that. So sorry for that. I'll tell you now, gender harassment and sexual harassment, not one and the same. Then what is sex and what is gender? Sex is something biological. Gender is something we self-assign to ourselves or the society assigns to us. Both are different. Sexual harassment and gender harassment are different. Every sexual harassment is a gender harassment. Or every gender harassment is not always sexual in nature. Put it plainly. If a person of a particular sex, like transgender is a sex, isn't it? But I'm a woman even now. But tomorrow morning, if I self-identify myself as a male, Is it possible? If I have a feeling right from my birth in my adolescent age, some different feeling from the birth of my sex, then I can identify myself as a transgender. So here the sex of a person is biological by birth, and gender of a person is identified, self-identified by the person after a process. So gender and sex are not same. The sexual harassment sometimes includes gender harassment, but this particular legislation has made it very, very gender specific. The agreed person will be a woman, not a male or not a trans person. The Transgenders Protection Act 2019 has a different legislation has come in for the trans person. It speaks about the trans person's lives in total in a different legislation. Sexual harassment is not always physical harassment alone. Okay, sexual harassment is not something to do with the body, but our connotation, our mindset in the society is that if we speak about sex, it's something to do with the body. That's all. In this society of ours, talking about sex or sex education, talking about all these things are not welcome in the domestic arena, in the social arena. They do not appreciate people talking about all these things. That's a wrong understanding. We humans are created, or any living being are created because of the happening of something related to this. But our societal mindset is very conservative. So sexual harassment, to our understanding today, is nothing to do with the body of a person. Of course, sexual harassment may be one of the harassment may be body of a person, but it is not always going to be a physical harassment. Without touching a person, can we harass a person? Just think, a wink of eye or something, or facial expression. Of course, we can do it. And a verbal harassment, it's possible. Today, most of the workplace harassment are these kind of harassment. There comes the difficulty in the practical aspect and functioning of this particular legislations. And your committee has taken pains to bring in this legislation. Is this legislation going to help you as a practitioner in future? Are this going to get you any job for you? Of course, I tell you, this is a right legislation taken by your committee as such, because this is going to be productive for women lawyers at least. Is my audio not clear?
It is very clear.
Okay, someone says audio is not clear. I tell you about the audio. Sometimes the audio, if it is not clear, it is not only the signal of the speaker, it is also the signal of the person who keeps hearing it. So I kindly request every one of you to check your signal level at your place. Otherwise, shift from that place where you get little more signal. Okay? Because I'm checking my level here, it is correct. Thank you so much.
Yeah, ma'am, you can.
Thank you. Thank you. What I should tell you here is that a physical contact or advances or demand for sexual favor or making sexually colored remark, showing pornography, unwelcome physical and verbal, all these are going to form sexual harassment. But what a practitioner of law will be doing with this, you will be getting matters in the court where you will be in future fighting for it and get justice for one person who is at the wrong side, or you will be supporting your client getting something paid. What else can be done? Because this is a placement committee, you have to be placed somewhere. This particular placement committee will be training you. That I'll be telling you when the constitution of the committee comes. So be attentive and listen to that. The law students, the lawyers of future, and people who want to have a place or have a work that will be a paid work. So keep listening to me. And physical contact, we all know that happens. A hug or a kiss or anything, even a dash against a person. A demand for sexual favor, this happens quite often. The factory level, you get daily the supervisor, this co-worker, ask for this favor or this favor, that favor and all. You will be getting lots and lots of complaints and making sexually colored remarks. It's comments or the jokes that's passed on a women that will fall under these categories, or showing pornography. People nowadays on the online platform, lots of pornographic materials are being shared, unethical way of doing things, and of course non-verbal or verbal of sexual nature. This is what sexual harassment should be meant as such. I'll be telling you, if time permits, lots of case studies of mine, or wherever I have been an inquiry officer as a domestic inquiry, or a person part of the POSH committee, POSH inquiry, so that you will understand much more. So this sexual harassment in a workplace, what practically as committee, I'll tell about the committee and come back. There is a internal committee and also a local committee. There are two committees as such. The internal committee is for organizations or workplace where 10 people, minimum 10, that doesn't mean women, 10 people are working, you should have an internal committee. And this internal committee will be headed by a chairwoman, a senior person in the organization or a workplace or an institution or a hospital, hotel, anywhere, wherever the women are being there or working. And 4 people are to be there in the committee as per the law, but usually 5, 7, 9 odd numbers is preferable. If there is a tie in the judgment, so you have to have odd numbers, but the law says it's 4 chairwomen and internal and external members. Internal and external member will be preferentially 60% will be, more than 50 will be women. So we can take 60% as women. There'll be men also inside the committee, and there'll be external member. Here you have a job. So as an external member, the qualification can be any person who is part of an association working for the cause of women. Women Lawyers Association bylaws say they work for the women's cause. So any member of a Women Lawyers Association will be predominantly and mainly lawyers. Some women lawyers take in law students as well. So, and a person associated with a non-governmental organization working for the cause of women. Most of the lawyers are part of NGOs. The law doesn't say that an external member should be a particular gender, that is women, but preferably women are being appointed as an external member. That's how I'm there in part of so many organizations. Because of paucity of time, that was not read out by the speaker. But I'm there in so many organizations in multivarious. I'm part of the gender committee of the City Civil Court in the High Court campus. I'm part of the government sector for the small scale industries. I'm part of very many private organizations as well. So many private organizations have this internal committee. We have one more committee called the local committee. For every taluka tehsil, we have a social worker, a renowned social worker. She'll be heading in. There are so many people, even a person part of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, they have to be part of this committee. So they have so many people. Though this local committee and internal committee, you can be part of it as a law graduate, and also if you are going to be doing your master of social work, in many will take up after law master of social work, then those people who have done social work also can do it. Someone who has worked for the cause of women. So this committee is appointed for 3-year period. The external member is a paid person. You're paid for being part of the meeting, part of the committee, part of bringing awareness session. The corporates to pay you where you can get in your extra income apart from your profession. So this you keep in mind as a committee which is working on it. This training will be very essential as a future person. You will be placed and you can work on this. This is going to be one of the future legislation where a lot of cases will come in. Okay, so you have to understand this constitution of a committee as such, and functioning of the committee will tell you how the law as such is functioning. But I'll go back 2 slides. Okay, one is that what is a workplace, you have to understand, and the other one is that we have to understand this particular prevention of sexual harassment section 3. I'll be juggling between my slides, do not worry about it. Just understand in pockets so that you will understand in wholesome in the head. Okay, this particular section says about an explicit promise of a preferential treatment. or an implied promise of a preferential treatment. Somebody can tell you that I'll be giving you increment if you're going to join me for a cup of tea to Mahabalipuram tomorrow. It's an implied one asking you to join for a cup of tea. It is definitely not going for a cup of tea. You can have it in your next coffee shop. Implied or explicit threat that if you do not do what I asked for you yesterday, I'm not going to give you a proper performance appraisal or something like that future employment, or intimating or offensive work. You are being assigned a particular job. There was a case in a hotel industry. The woman, she was assigned a particular job which is usually not assigned to women, a heavy job. That because of not agreeing for a senior person telling in that hotel industry. Unfortunate that industry didn't have an internal committee. That matter came out to us, and after that they have formed an internal committee. So that kind of intimating or offensive, not a safe work for the women. And also affecting the health and safety. Initially, I didn't understand the health and safety aspect. I was wondering, but until and unless I got a particular inquiry, I didn't understand. There was a particular factory where women are working in plenty. It is a bulb making factory. I have seen that factory. I've gone there. I'm a consultant, legal consultant for that factory also. So what happened? There was a call from one of the employee and telling the chairwoman that some supervisor is sexually abusing women, and one girl was not permitting him. So she was not allowed to use the restroom for 3 consecutive days. She was not permitted to go out of that hall where the work is carrying out. She was not even allowed to take lunch or something. That's harassment is going on. Nobody has the guts, and this girl is also not having the guts to come and tell it outside. And it comes to then she asked me, how can this become sexual harassment? Not allowing a woman for restroom. It can be something. It is, of course, it is something to be taken in consideration. But will it attract POSH? That is the day I was understanding this particular health and safety aspect coming into the sexual harassment. Then I started appreciating the lawmakers. How much of deliberation would have gone in to bring in this particular sentence in this health and safety of women? No, not allowing for a women to restroom. Imagine for 8 hours work, she's not given food, she's not allowed to restroom. Will her health not be affected by asking a request, a sexual favor that not being done to according to the whims and fancies of supervisors? So this day I understood. So we understand day in and day out. These legislations I never read in my law schools. I joined in 88 and I left out my law college in 93. And last week, as Dr. Vijayalakshmi told, I was with my alma mater, where I was called as a guest speaker to talk on this topic as such. So we all read these legislations as it comes by. As lawyers, we take interest, we understand the practicality, we interpret the statutes. You have a subject called interpretation of statutes as well, a difficult one for me. I do not know how many of you find it easy. But today, I know that is one of the important subjects we would have. Whatever we thought it was really boring or not useful in the law schools are very much important in our practical day-to-day life. Law college is a different life, and practice is a very different thing. But I tell you, as a lawyer, you can do anything on earth. So be happy that you have chosen this subject or to come to the legal arena as such. And again, going back to one more thing, workplace. Today, I'm working from my home. I go to the virtual courts. I go to the virtual platforms. I communicate with organizations on virtual platform. I communicate with my coach on the virtual platform. I do my sessions, classes, everything online. So the workplace connotation was little different earlier. So whoever is working in an office, administrative office or a factory, it's a workplace. Or if you're using the transportation, that's workplace. If you're traveling, that's a workplace. There's one judgment, Saurabh Kumar Malik versus Comptroller and Auditor General of India. It's a 2018 judgment. So the meaning of workplace you can understand by going through this judgment. Today, the online platform is a workplace. What happened after the COVID coming in? The were closed. So I thought I was a posh consultant and I was doing a lot of work and I was earning a lot of income. So I thought it's not going to be anymore from this side. But they started calling me online for my sessions. So I was happy that I was able to do some work. Suddenly, one organization called me and told me, we have a complaint on POSH on online. That was in last June or something. Then online POSH, how is that possible? Online, how can we get compliance? Then there was a complaint this sort. There was a meeting going on, online meeting. And one woman, she was inappropriately dressed up and she switched off her video because she was just called in and she joined in. So she was not dressed according to an official. So she was compelled to switch on the video, but she told I'll come in audio. But she was compelled by the senior person to come. And after that, he also commented on the dressing of the women. She switched off the video only because she is inappropriately dressed. After the comment, she tries to switch off the video again. But the senior person commenting her, and again, everything is recorded. This whole episode or the whole thing is recorded because that meeting was recorded. This woman raises a complaint. Of course, the first instant of the senior person coming out and asking to come on video is fine. Then seeing me not up to the way for the meeting, I accepted to be in the audio. Why he kept on doing it? It was when I went through the have a view of the video, he kept on telling it 7 or 8 times. That wasn't good. The meeting was more into this rather into the real work. That was the first complaint I received, and that complaint inquiry I did online. How it is possible? It was possible. We worked out plans and we started doing. So online it is more good because calling a respondent and a petitioner on the same platform, it is very difficult. In the court halls, we have to see they don't fight and all. Here we have the waiting room options, or they are connecting in different, only the visible is seen. So we used to get affidavits, or we used to get everything in mail. So everything was easy and I learned from that. After that, I did 2 or 3 inquiries online on this. So today, the workplace connotation, this particular judgment you go through to understand what is a present day workplace as such. And 1 or 2 other judgments also you should have a understanding to understand this. One is that Apparel Export Promotion Council. Apparel Export Promotion Council versus AK Chopra. I should have told you beginning itself, this is physical contact is not always essential for an act amounting to workplace sexual harassment. If someone is asking for a sexual favor, is someone talking with me inappropriately? Will it be sexual harassment? Okay. Does sexual harassment happen only to a particular pocket of women? Many think only uneducated or little semi-educated women working as a contractor on the factory level, they get sexually harassed. Not that way. Recently, a senior officer of an organization, she called me and she told there is an inappropriate talk from a senior women, senior to her. She is also in a senior cadre. Senior women officer. 2 things are here. One is the respondent in this particular legislation does not say it should be men. This legislation is gender specific only to the person who is agreed women or a complainant. It is not gender specific to the respondent. So one thing is that a woman seeking a sexual favor or talking inappropriately, will it come under POSH? Yes, of course, it will come under POSH. And what is an inappropriate talk? She was a woman to a woman. Is it going to be inappropriate? Okay. For example, I'm a woman. There is a Y woman. I'm an X and Y talking something. which why doesn't like. I'm going to describe a body, our physique and all. She's not taking it well in a workplace. We are not connected. We are not sisters. We are not in same family. You are in the workplace. In the workplace, you are telling you look so lovely. Initially, for the first few days, this lady didn't know she had joined that organization new, and she has to report to that vice chairman. And whenever she goes in, you look very beautiful. Why don't you come dressed in this? Why don't you wear this way? Why don't you? She started talking and she didn't understand. Initially, all women know, we comment your sari is beautiful, your blouse, where did you stitch it? It's very common for women. So first 2-3 days she didn't understand why this lady is keeping on telling about my dress, my walk, all these things. Maybe okay, fine, we are reporting her. After a few days she just called me, because I work for the LGBT community as such. She had a clue because she had attended few of my sessions. Madam, I doubt that this madam keeps on talking about my physique and she's got too intimate in talking. Okay, will that in a workplace by a woman asking a sexual favor will be a sexual harassment? Of course. This inquiry also I conducted online as such. And when I took it to the people, the other people in the committee, it is all shocking for them. Madam, how can this come here? So women talking to women, it's very common. In practical functioning of this particular legislations, initially when this law came in, I understood this law in the year 2013 rather in the year 1997. My understanding has grown leaps and bounds because of the practical experience I've gained over the age and years. And of course, this online platform has given me a different connotation about this legislation as such. So workplace, you have to understand the respondent, you have to understand all these things or the working. And for how the committee works as such. This committee, I told 3-year period, it's appointed, it works like a civil court. And all the committee members, you have to treat yourself as a judge. You have external members and internal member. How do you take out a complaint? How do you work practically on a complaint? How do you really go about in inquiring this case? And one thing I tell you, when you work on these sexual harassment cases as such, sometimes we tend to go very sympathetical. And many a times I see the women in the committee will support the men, and the men in the committee will support women. I've seen, no, I know this lady, she's always like this. I know this gentleman, his looks are always like that. I request whoever forms of this committee, don't be prejudgmental. You are judges. You're there to decide on the law and the facts put together. You will be all appointed as external members in future. If you're a lawyer, you will get the opportunity. If you're a student, you will get the opportunity in future. So the functioning of this legislation predominantly lies in the working of the committee. Because if the committee is not bringing out a correct decision, whether it's going to be an internal committee or the local committee, then the court will start coming into the place. Then the work of the lawyers come into the place, because the law doesn't permit anyone to be represented as per the rules by the lawyers. The people, affected person, agreed women, the respondent, they come in person and they do it. So working on this committee is very much important. The presiding officer, the members, they have to take a complaint, they have to take a written complaint, and as per the rules, they have to give 6 copies of the hard copies of the complaints or evidence, everything, the name of the witness, if you have it also, you can bring in. And within 3 months of the last of the incident happening. What is the last of the incident happening? Sexual harassment doesn't happen like Nirbhaya, the one-day incident. It's a rarity. That in workplace, first day they will look whether this person is a weaker person. Women are not weaker, but what they mean by weaker is whether you don't revolt or whether you have the support system. Is there any men behind you coming to fight with this particular person if it is a man? Or whether you will be amenable, are you interested, all these things. Okay, someone is asking me something.
Let's have the question in the session at the end of the thing. We are noting down the questions and we will at the end.
Okay. I'm little techno savvy. I'm not very much techno savvy. I'm a learner. I'm into my first standard or second standard. So if something comes in between, already I'm not seeing anyone and I don't know whether everybody sees me. Let's finish this and we'll come to you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we are noting down the questions. At the end of the session, we'll have.
Okay. Okay, fine. So this committee has to take the complaint within 3 months last of the incident happening. So they will look at a person, a victim, then they will talk with the person, then they will give a look or a sexual favor will be asked. So you have to come to the correct place and you have to come out of the trouble. Napini ma'am was talking about how traumatized women are, or anyone for that. Yesterday, I read in the newspapers that men, actually, it's not men and juveniles were abusing children who are playing on the streets. Boys. Abuse is not only for women always, it's also for women and girls. It's also for men, or the transgender people also face abuse. So you have to take in a time frame of the complaint. Here also the working is very, very important. And again, the legal house is a place to come. If the women is not able to come, the women's commission will have a role to play if it's not possible for the people to come in person and all. So this kind of abuse, one second, I'm not able to share my screen. Okay, is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. One another thing, very important thing, I should tell the important provisions for you. Then we will go to the question and answer. One process is that conciliation. The women wishes to settle the matter, out of court settlement, like lawyers we do in many matters, and we'll finish off like a mediation, conciliation, arbitration. Here is a conciliation process, inbuilt conciliation process, because the labor legislation, already there is a conciliation process in the Industrial Dispute Act or the new labor code as such. Here the conciliation, if the women wishes, is possible. They will settle it, but no compensation on the conciliation. And malicious complaint. If the woman complains maliciously with wrong intention, fraudulent complaint, she will face the penalty as per the rules of the standing order of the company. The 15 speaks about the compensation and how the compensation is being awarded. Compensation is something like a fine or an extension of the punishment as such. The economic status of the respondent will look into, because the company has to retrieve from the terminal benefits if the person is absconding. So feasibility of a lump sum will be looked into, and confidential. Everything has to be kept confidential. Everyone who are going into the committee has to keep it very confidential. And appeal is there under section 18. First, the committee is going to inquire. They have to submit to the higher ups. They will give the report, final thing. And again, if you have appeal the first, as such, when you're giving a complaint, the women has the option to go to the normal police station to give a complaint, or the National Commission or the State Commission of Women. The place where a woman goes, if it is a police station, the jurisdiction will be the first class judicial magistrate. In Tamil Nadu, we have only the judicial magistrate. And 19 speaks about the role of the duties of the employer, what the employer will be doing it. Okay, the employer has to do it so much. Whatever awareness session we are doing right now, the role of the employer will be to create a gender safe workplace, or the sexual harassment free workplace. It has to be very free, and all the functioning of the committee has to look into. An annual report has to be submitted by the committees, internal committee and local committee. In Tamil Nadu, we had the local committee started functioning after Advocate Selvi Palani Madam filed a writ petition, and that went to the place where the local committees, after the district collectors joined in for a meeting, and now it is functioning to an extent, not to my satisfaction as such. Local committees are functioning, but in Mumbai, Andhra Pradesh, it's all doing well. In certain areas in pockets, Noida, Mumbai, Andhra Pradesh, wherever I have, I work on Pan India. That's why. So since it's a national level seminar, I tell you, it is a very good option for a lawyer to work connected with Pan India. So preparation of annual report, all will fall in our, and implementation. Government has a power to inspect and implement all these things. So when there is a penalty for not properly following the provisions of the POSH and courts. I already told first class. It works with the other laws as such. Okay, I'll give you a few case studies when I go for the legislation as such. 1 second, I'll take a sip of water and connect with you. 1 second, give me time. Yes, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, audible, ma'am.
Okay. 1 second. Can we go to question hour? Or should I go for the case studies, whichever you are preferring?
1 or 2 case studies, then we can go for the question session, ma'am.
Okay. I'll take out the screen and the case studies. I'll just ask the question so that I'll start the questionnaire right now.
Shall we start the questions now, ma'am?
Okay.
So the first question.
Ma'am,
Yes,
am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, Harsha.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
The very first question is like, does the committee either have internal or a local suo motu power to inquire the sexual harassment issues in the workplace?
Okay. Thank you for the question.
You need our next question, ma'am?
No, I'll answer one by one.
Okay,
The
fine.
committee does not have a suo motu power to inquire. We have seen honorable courts taking up matters suo motu. Here, there is a specific word in the legislation. The complaint should be a written complaint. So, if you interpret that way, there should be an affected woman coming and complaining you, then you have to take. Because you cannot compel a woman to talk about her harassment, her sexual harassment. Many women will not come out. So here no one is, I see many organizations where the internal committees are functioning. They take the complaint suo motu, not even mentioning to the women. I've seen instances. You should wait for the, if you know, you can ask the women unofficially, call her. Is that there is a committee for you, because the organization has a duty to place the policy and all the details of the laws on the notice board, or get all the employees notified. So the committee has to get the consent of the women. That's why there is a written complaint. That too, the committee members can help her in writing out the complaint, taking the complaint if she need be to the police station, and taking the complaint to the national or the state commission of women. So a suo motu complaint will not be entertained, because a woman's personal life, no one has a right to trend upon it. It is only on our volition, even the conciliation is possible. She can only opt to come out of that case. It's not compelled to do it. So that is the space given to her. Thank you for this question, whoever asked it.
Ma'am, if a man faces any such harassment from the women's side, does it comes under the purview of a definition of harassment?
Once I met a person, he told he was sexually harassed. He was a man, basically, but he was a trans person. He was in the process of getting himself. So he wanted to lodge a complaint. He was neither a trans person, where he can go and complain that way, but he had all those feelings. So I took the matter to the police station to lodge a complaint. They were reluctant to take that a man can be abused. I tell you, the general law of a country, even though certain sections of Indian Penal Code are gender specific, there the other genders are being sexually harassed. One of a great personality today in the media world, he was speaking with me one day. When I was into modeling, there were so many requests for me to be a sexual partner, and there are few harassment happening to men. When we were models, we were in the green room changing our dresses. I have faced a couple of sexual harassment. Many have faced it. Men do not speak out, or the sexual harassment happening for men are less, but you have a place to go. Usually in the workplace, what happens, because we are talking about POSH, POSH is for women, but you have your grievance committee. That is not very gender specific. So in organization, you can take it to the grievance committee then instead of IC. But in non-organization setup and all, you can go to the general police station and file a complaint before the police authorities. They will take it into action. Many times men are abused by men for the favor of a gay relationship. Women are abused by women, and trans persons are abused. But all these people, they do find a solution. Women being abused, she can come under POSH by any gender, but others have to take the rescue in the the committees, the gender committees or the grievance committees they have in place. So these people also have a place. Never mind, go to a good lawyer. They will guide you which way to go about it. Don't keep it in your mind. It's very difficult. And one thing I want to tell you, harassment is common for everyone. If I tell my story of how many harassments I've seen in my life, it will go to pages and pages. I have to. And if I speak about the harassment of all my clients, it will run to all. You can umpty number of. I can't even number the harassments or the voluminity or the different dimensions of harassment, domestic violence or workplace or general public arena, the harassments happening. It's different. I need one particular session to talk about it. In my case studies, I give 2 examples.
Ma'am, one more question. It is from Mr. G. Kadirvel Pandian. What he's asking is that no companies are having ICC. Is there any measures to monitor and control?
I cannot say no company is having IC. Sir, I do not know which company you're from. Many companies are having internal committees because I'm there connected with 24 or 25 organizations. If I'm permitted to name a few like L&T, Ashok Leyland, CPCL, many organizations, I'm part of it. I'm there in hotel industry. I get institutions, many colleges nowadays they've pulled in me in the gender committees because of the online platform coming in. Many are calling me. So many corporates do pay the external committee members, but few organizations do not have. Yes, if comes to the knowledge of people like us activists or to the national or the state commission of women, they will definitely send a complaint to the labor commissioners or the district collector under whom it is there, and you will get a challan and you have to pay the face the punishment and you have to pay the fine. Otherwise, your license also will be cancelled. Only thing, the volume of the organization are so multitude, people are not complaining. Many organizations started having the internal committee and contacted me only after they getting something from the. Now it is very strict. Having a committee is very strict, and an external member in the committee is a very essential one. All the ladies sitting out there, and all the gentlemen, if there is an opportunity, try to become an external member. It's an extra pay and an extra learning for you. It is very nice to be part of this committee, even though you're doing something which is very, very difficult to face. But it's. I have lots of matters I've done on the committee and off the committee as well.
Ma'am, another question is from Parishai Gautam. What he's asking about the misusing of this act and what are the consequences of giving false complaint, because some junior employees are targeting the senior employees by way of giving this false complaint. So to raise their promotion and everything. This is one sort of question from that. And once it's done, I will come to the next question.
Section 14, I spoke about malicious complaint when I was sharing the screen. I've taken the screen off, but again, I tell you, Section 14 of the Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act speaks about malicious complaint. Any woman who is complaining with a malicious intention, not having any case based in that, with an ulterior motive, a malicious intention, she will face the penalty as per the rules. Any act will have the rules as per the rules or the standing order of the organization. They will have the organization have a set of rules or the standing orders, all the rules of this particular POSH Act. She will face a penalty. Two of my cases, 2 to 3 cases of malicious complaint. One woman we gave 2 increment cut, and one woman she resigned from the organization. And one student who gave a malicious complaint, she gave an apology letter and she agreed to do some social work for that was the college. Because she was not given the first mark. She's a high active student, highly knowledgeable student. I never knew these kind of people only not giving the first mark. She came out with a complaint of this sort. Sometimes our mind wiring goes wrong way also. So malicious complaint, don't mind anyone who is facing malicious complaint, come to me. I'll find out the way how you have to come out of these organizations. Most of the organizations are functioning, many are not having it, but malicious complaint is inbuilt. This is the first time in the Indian legal history where a women favoring legislation, a malicious complaint is part and parcel of the legislation. But when the parliamentary committee met and when I was part of it, I also opined against this section 14. But later on, we understood this 14 has to be in place. Thank you.
And the next one is from, I think, Dr. Raki. Whether if any ICC member forced the victim for conciliation, what is the remedy for the victim? And the rest of the questions will be followed by Dilshad.
I tell you, it is no more called ICC. It is to be called IC. In the year 2013, the law came into force. Only one amendment was happening. Internal Complaints Committee, Local Complaints Committee was the earlier terminology before 2016. After 2016, you have to call as IC and LC only. Why? Because the law says prevention, prohibition, and redressal. Compliance, the word will mean only redressal. So it is has to prevent and prohibit. So it will be called as internal committee. So if anyone from the committee asks or compel you for conciliation, that cannot be done. But the organization sometimes will call the women, are you willing for a conciliation? That is not going to be anything. But you are compelled to do it, then it is against, then you can go and complain before the local committee. You can go and complain to the police station. If you are not satisfied with the internal committee, the next solution will be the local committee. But local committee, if not functioning, you can go to the state commission or the national commission for the women. The local police station, if it attracts all these provisions of law, no, 354, 509, so many things are there for you. Any one of the thing, because workplace 376 is a rarity. I've never seen, but 354 I have seen it as voyeurism, stalking. It's all 1 year punishable. So when a particular organization, they were stalking, the men were stalking the women wherever she was going. He was following that, they were dealing and giving. So it came to my knowledge, the women came and asked. I told her immediately go and complain before the local police. Then only they will, because they were asking her to finish off in a conciliation. That point she came to me. Then I asked her to write a letter to the complaint. Even though it was unofficially asked to you, I never want to conciliate this matter, and I may be permitted to take this matter outside to the local police because I need external support. I believe I come to know only now the law will punish. It's all baby stage. It will all get set.
Thank you, ma'am. And another question is that from our own faculty, she's asking about the proving of the complaint beyond all reasonable doubt, the preponderance and the probabilities of the complaint what we have submitted before that.
One thing, my dear ladies, I tell you, whatever happens, it will most of the time will be happening in the closed doors. This I'll tell with few examples to you. There was the one I told, no, the factory where requesting for sexual favor, she was not allowed to restroom. How we brought it out? Because there was no one, only one lady called up and she told I didn't call later on. Because there are CCTV footages, I asked the organization to collect the CCTV footages for the 3 days which was complained about, and earlier and later on, whether she went there on that, because the companies will have for 20 days, 1 month, all the footages, and again to check in whether all those 3 days she punched in and punched out all the time. These were brought in. So one external person will come and help you out in this. And there was one another thing where the senior boss molested the women. Actually, when she went inside, I usually assimilate this to a movie, Nutruku Nooru by Mr. Jaishankar. There, Srividya, she used to complain about the sexual harassment. That's a malicious complaint. That's an example of malicious complaint. She wants to save her skin from her parents, so she says that that professor did all these things. And later on, they will reenact that. You know, in many cases, live cases also, murder, kidnapping and all, they will recreate, reenact that. So when the reenactment, she will come out like that and she will drop the books. So earlier, the professor will ask, did she come with the books or without the books? The parents will think she came with the books. So here, real thing happening, she didn't come with the books. So like that, sometimes there'll be somebody else outside. So the girl goes inside. She was literally molested. She comes out and she cries, but she doesn't give the complaint. This, the office boy notes it. And one person who is walking out of the cabin, and immediately she's telling, I'm not feeling well. And she gives a letter and she leaves that place immediately. This will be all secondary evidences. Don't worry if there is no evidence at all. If the women says there is an harassment, it's an harassment. Then the other side, the burden of proof will shift to him. Let him say, I didn't do anything. Likewise, one another thing, usually I tell this case study for the travel, the women travel. A woman, for all these are example, nothing plays, everything are changed. A woman is working in Chennai. She accompanies a senior member of her team and two other teammates to the place of work, that is Mumbai. Till Mumbai, everything was smooth. From Mumbai, they have to go to Nasik, for example. They have to travel in a train to reach that place to do the other work. While traveling, what happened? The second travel, she sends a message to her friend. The boss is misbehaving with me. What should I do? There is an answer reply stating that please get out. If you are not able to, please get out from the next station and go to the place in Mumbai and stay there. And after they come back, come to Chennai. This is the only evidence she has. But it's the real incident. There are two people sitting along. The two gentlemen did not even mind or support her at all because they were all in the same category. All are juniors. So what happened? The girl comes, tell her friend, and the friend comes to the committee. Then I didn't know because it might be a malicious thing also. So I told, give me some time. I have to think where will we bring in evidence? The two gentlemen is not ready to speak at all. They told, I have not seen anything. If the girl says, and I waited for 2 or 3 days. Then I asked the chairwoman, Madam, one thing, no, I didn't even wait. I asked for 2 or 3 days. I didn't even wait. I just kept on thinking, given in court halls, I just kept on thinking like this. Then I told, Madam, usually when you go for travel, usually the travel reimbursement will be done by the senior person, the hotel bill, travel bill and all. Go and see whatever he reimbursed. The travel ticket, if he reimbursed 4 tickets for ongoing and coming back 3 tickets, that is one evidence. You can take that. And one more thing, usually when a junior person does not do any work, there will be a memo from the senior person. She didn't do her work. She didn't go for the work. Is there any memo pending against her? Both things. One, we got a ticket, 4 ongoing and 3 coming back, and the memo was not in place at all. Then what other mistake he did also, he tried to send some messages and delete the messages. That is night 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, he sends some messages and he himself deletes the messages. So all these things were evidences. I told, you call the meeting without anything produced by the girl, affected girl, we can take it. So these kind of evidences we can bring in, like a civil court has a power to bring in evidences. This POSH committee can help in bringing the evidence. The employer has to help in bringing the evidences.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And one more thing, I now request Professor Dr. Bispi Gopalakrishnan, madam, from Kochi University. Madam has posed a question, and actually it is a privilege for this platform to having Bispi Gopalakrishnan, madam, on this session.
Welcome, ma'am.
Ma'am, will you please unmute your mic and camera? You can pose your question, ma'am. Bispi, ma'am. Or else may I read out the question? Okay, the question is that how do we tackle anonymous letters, email defaming the colleagues, especially when anonymous letters, mails are posted would it be complicate the entire situation? How can we tackle such an anonymous defamatory emails? Can the internal committee directly approach a cyber police, or should we institution go ahead?
Thank you for this. I'll say an example. If you can find out the person who does the anonymous letter, some people have the habit of doing it in anonymity. They do not bring out with the name. In one organization, there was a particular mail ID who was recently joined that organization as such. Initially, people didn't know. He was sending some articles. If you read through the article, some particular lines, it was defaming women or pointing at women to be hypocrites or something like that. It was happening for 3 or 4 days. The chairwoman called me, how to go about this. Then we found out that person happens to be a young entrant. He was already 23-year-old joining that organization. He's not cut his umbilical cord from the college. I called him, even before calling the committee, I called him inside and asked him, why did he do all these things? He told that I like the person, one girl, because I understood he is pointing only one girl. She was the person who gave him the training for induction training. But what she says, she's 27, I am 23. She doesn't want to have friendship with me. I found a college student giving the complaint. So immediately I didn't want to check him out of the office because it will be a black mark, because he was just doing what it was being done in the college. So what I immediately did was call the mother, because he was so young. He don't even look like a 23-year-old. Then I called the mother and told, because I wanted to bring a full stop for that. Then I asked her mother, I'll tell a situation, you give the punishment. She didn't know that it was her son at all. I just told very ambiguously, I told, no, we should not leave him. Madam, it's your son. Tell him this is the way you have to treat with the women. Then she told, I'm a single mother, this and that. Then we sent the matter outside. Even for that, the company did not allow me to do it. But eventually I asked him to give an apology letter and go away. But the chairwoman asked me on that day, Madam, if you are not able to find out this person, or if this person is really a senior person, what you would have done? So I told, if you do not know the person, the POSH committee can take the matter on their own with the permission of the organization. We do not, as a committee, have all these powers. So permission of the organization or the higher up, put a word to them that some anonymity is happening and that is disturbing the workplace atmosphere of the women. Can we take the complaint to the cyber crimes, the police commissioner, nearby police station, women's commission, state commission for women? After 3 or 4 years, I started getting a complaint from an organization. Someone is putting anonymous complaint on a particular woman. She is one of the committee member also. And something bad about her character is being projected, coming to the organization in form of letters, in form of mails and all. They couldn't find out who was doing this at all. But this women everybody knows she's not of that character, but it was totally defaming her. She has an option to take it on her own. This is disturbing the work atmosphere. So then I told that organization to immediately go to the women's commission and to the commissioner's office there. But it was not the commissioner, it was an officer area, so the SP's office, to give a complaint. And immediately they could find out this was done by one another women. What happened? They both were colleagues. She is scoring higher up and she is going to get promotion. And ultimately, since the anonymous person was known, this matter went into the committee as such. She was trying to defaming her, but she sent an apology and everything was, because sometimes if you do not go and give an official complaint, it will be all dropped. But I'll tell you, all the cyberspace crimes or all the harassment, you go to the Facebook and see Adi Lakshmi's YouTube. If you put, there'll be 50 people talking ill about me only. I know this lady, she does like this, she does like that. People will not allow a woman to be very active in public or survey. But people like us, daily, I'll take it. Today, if somebody is not commenting me, I'll tell my juniors, I didn't do any work today. So nobody has commented me. So today, my work is total waste. So somebody has to keep commenting all these public life people to do some work as such. I tell you, at the utmost guess, if somebody tell you you're not a good character person, you're a characterless crook, or you do this thing, anything on the air, don't bother. Others' opinion does not bother at all. It's our own opinion that is much more important. So you have to face all these things to come up in life. I have faced a plenty. So I tell you, be bold and confident. If anything go overboard, come to me. There are so many instances I have helped women to come out of the abuser, the harasser is surrounding us only, known to us in a way.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And only last two more questions, ma'am. One question is from Mr. Ragula. Is the organizational remedy separate from the criminal law remedy available to the victim?
Very nice. Whatever I thought I will do with the case studies, everybody is putting very alert. I give 100% credit to this audience. I also forgot to telling this. Yes, you know, in usually in domestic enquiries in labor laws, we do. There'll be an internal domestic enquiry for a theft, and simultaneously a complaint will be given to a local police for the theft. So here it is not double jeopardy. What happens here is a complaint will be handled by the POSH committee, and simultaneous complaint given to the local police. Both will lie, both will stand, both will be in its own track. It will not attract double jeopardy at all.
Thank you, ma'am. And this question is from our faculty. He was a male faculty. If the sexual harassment happened in the virtual workplace, what would be the position?
Similar to this. Now the workplace is and that's what I was telling. All the online complaints, no, that this law will lie. The workplace has started including the virtual working. So yearly working from home was not calculated as a workplace. So today, wherever a woman is working, there is an harassment. For example, imagine this is not this is a company meeting. I'm sitting here. I'm one of the employer company. There is one thing on the chat. It happened literally in one company meeting on the chat. He thought he was putting that chat for the private individual. Actually, for everyone, he put defaming that woman. That was taken, and he had to give an apology letter for that. Everything went on online. Apology letter online. We conveyed the meeting. Affidavit was on the online. I was receiving it, and everybody was sitting. It was really, and it was international one. It was France or somewhere. We are sitting in late night and doing all those things. That was a real literal experience. Similar, the same law. Workplace is working from home.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And last question, one is from our faculty member regarding the limitation period for filing complaint, and another one is from I think it is from an advocate who asked about whether body shaming comes under harassment. So up to this, let us stop the question of the session. If you have any questions, please post it in the chat box. We will mail it to madam, and we will get the responses to you directly, because due to paucity of time, we are closing this session after completing these two questions. Ma'am, one is limitation period and another one is body shaming.
Body shaming, of course, it comes. Body shaming is the in thing that is happening for women. Any person's body is their own self, their own honor. So that will definitely come. Limitation here means the law says within 3 months of the last of the complaint being received, and the committee will have a power to extend it for 3 months to condone that. If extreme circumstances, otherwise, like Me Too, you cannot bring after 17 years or 18 years or something like that. You have a time limit as such. But if you go in the general law, you have a extension of time. One girl did not complain initially. That was after a year, and there was a slight evidence which the company didn't took it as an evidence. One message. So I took it to the general law, that is complaint to the police. The police took it, and the matter was given a finality in the police. So there are so many ways and means in the legal system. I know many are asking for questions. So I'll ask one of my junior to post my contact number and my email ID. So
you can already shared, ma'am. It's already shared.
You can WhatsApp or you can mail me. I'll do it. Otherwise, you can contact Vijaya Lakshmi madam or anybody, any of the faculties. I'll definitely. I should thank all the participants who posted the questions. It was an excellent session. And thank you, Dr. Vijaya Lakshmi and team, and thank you, the esteemed University Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, for calling me in for this special session. It is really so nice to deliberate with you today. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's not a formal thing to give a vote of thanks, but it's coming from the bottom of our heart. So inviting some person and asking the person to come and deliberate something is not a matter to just to show that what is happening, but there must be some fruitful event going to be happen. So that's what we were very committed, myself and my co-coordinator, my brother, Dr. Sendil Kumar sir. From the placement committee, somebody would have think why the placement committee is conducting program on this POSH Act, what is their role? But if you are, as I told you, we are in the quasi-parental state. So we are sending our kids to the actual real world now only. Till date, they are very protective area. So now they are going to face the real world. This is not a cakewalk for them. So that's what we choose this topic. And I hope that to the possibility of, to the extent that we achieved the purpose, I think we sensitize the students, we sensitize the people. So this is the world. Be very cautious, and we are very much obliged, and we are very much thanks to Honorable Vice Chancellor sir, because he gave us this autonomous to choose and to conduct these sorts of program. Without his support and guidance, this would not have happened. Thank you so much, sir, for your support and guidance and the freedoms for us, free hand for us to go and choose and conduct these sorts of programs. Thank you so much to our registrar and our beloved director, Dr. Professor Balaji sir. So we are simply sending only the message, but sir is responding and coming over here and grace the occasion by giving the presidential address. And I thank both the two of the resource person today. Though some technical things happened, but madam has conveyed what we actually want, how it's psychologically, because unless you put yourself into the shoes of the others, you could not realize how it is painful when you are being the victim of this harassment. So it is very well been explained by madam. Thank you so much, Dr. Napine madam, for her acceptance and coming over here in spite of her busy schedule, because madam is having another meeting in secretariat. That's what madam came in the morning. Thank you so much. And the practical experience. So we can tell, ma'am, being an academician, we can tell what is there and what is in POSH Act. But only the practitioner could come and deliberate how to execute that law. So by giving these live examples, by giving this live case study, now we could understand how to apply this and how to execute this. Thank you so much, ma'am, for spending your time. I know very well that madam is conducting series of events for the students, those who are aspiring for CJ or this APP exam or judicial exams. There are several platforms madam is having at free of cost, madam is doing. So we have to note it down. No fees is being charged, and a lot of the eminent scholars and the practicing advocates are coming over there and are giving the lectures and series over it. Thank you so much, ma'am. Really, we are very privileged of having you today, and you have very patiently expressed and everything. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you to my entire team, Dr. Sendil Kumar sir. Without him, this placement committee and myself, I could not able to execute anything. I used to toil him from the beginning of creating the posters, brochures, and everything. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, brother, for being with me, and thank you so much for our this teamwork. We are expecting this to be continued. And thank you so much for my moderators, my dear darling Harsha and Dilshad. And Dilshad now only got recovered from COVID. In spite of that, she came over here and she gave it. And Harsha, I just want to appreciate, for the first time she go and she's going to complete her studies LLM also. Thank you so much, both of you, for the finest method of moderating this session. And thank you to our invisible another person, Deepa, for again supporting in every work what we are doing. Thank you so much, Deepa. Thank you so much to each and every one of the participants, including our faculty members, like from Dr. Rajashmi madam, Uma madam, Sunil sir, and each and everyone. Even if I left out my name, don't please mistake me. All the faculties members, those who are joined today and graced this program. And thank you to each and every one of the participants who was from all over the country. Thanks to Law Teachers Association, because I shared the poster over there and I got the responses. So the only thing what we are expecting from the program is that it's not an end over here. Let it be the initiating point. Let it be the starting point. Please spread this vibration to each and everywhere. Spread this awareness. That is what we are going to take back today as a take back from this program. Thanks to the Almighty for keeping every one of us safe during these COVID situation. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Darwin, the last but not the least. Because of you, this thing happened, our technical supporter and our person. So take care, all of you. Be safe. Let's meet in another session, in the forthcoming session. Please, we are expecting the same support from your side. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. And we'll keep the platform for 10 more minutes. Please submit your feedback form for submitting your